bite the bullet and just go on Monday, man. So anyway, 49451, hey, soccer guy, you're out there somewhere, right? Maybe Waxon Welts is out there maybe somewhere. Maybe he's taking a couple of shots of Hornitos and hearing the radio station today, taking care of his wife. I want to hear the take from the soccer fan on the red card from to Balogun last night. They got him kicked out and got him suspended for the game on Belgium. Right call, wrong call, and is this kind of a stain on the sport a little bit? That things like if you don't think it's the right call, you think it's a horrible call, is this a stain on the sport a little bit that things like this are allowed to happen? It's like I tweeted last night. In what world should anybody want this as part of the sport? Right? Like if you're, starting a new soccer league, would this be a rule that you would put in? I wouldn't put it in. Not a chance in hell would I put it in. Guys getting kicked out of a game and suspended for the next round. He's doing something like what you talked about. He's kicking a guy in the head, for God's sakes, on purpose. 49451, you tell us. All right, here what we got. Brett Boone at 4, Jerry Brewer at 5, Randall Williams from Bloomberg on the Sonics expansion story, the Seahawk ownership story. A lot more to get to. We'll talk some M's next as well on 93.3 KJR FM.
It's your favorite games, food, concerts, MMA, or professional boxing. It's all at Emerald Queen Casino. Always entertaining. For more info, visit emeraldqueen.com.
All right, boys and girls, we are back on a busy Thursday live from Jimmy's on First. There's a guy wearing a New York Mets hat right behind us for the Mariners-Angel game tonight.
Poor dude.
You know what? Good for that guy, though. Look at him.
Yeah, support the team, man.
That is a guy right there that just does not give a damn.
That's right.
About anything.
He kind of looks like Frank the Tank from behind.
He does a little bit. I mean,
maybe
look
it's
at his
him.
pants. He's got his pants up to his breasts for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You know, he's
painter's
balding.
pants.
He's got a hat from the 1970s for guys. I envy that guy. That's the guy I want to be. Because I'll leave the house looking like that, and my wife will say something to me. I'm like, honey, I don't care anymore. Yeah. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'd wear a garbage bag if it felt good. I just want to be comfortable for crying out loud. And that dude is freaking comfortable. Good for him, man.
Travis, you'll learn that when you get to your 50s and beyond, it's so freeing just to be able to walk around and not give crap about what anybody thinks of you.
I can't wait. Honestly.
It is beautiful.
So awesome, dude.
We got three nice-looking ladies over here that are enjoying some dessert at 3:30 in the afternoon. I don't know what's going on there, but they're all enjoying their dessert, and, whatever. I mean, I don't care. Whatever. Married guy, fat,
happy.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I look like hell. I don't give a crap. I'm not trying to impress anybody anymore. I just want to be left alone. And that guy right there wants to be left
Yes,
the
he
hell
does.
alone.
He was by himself.
We should have gotten a picture of that dude. That is
so
awesome.
Good.
Well, hey, guess what, guys? The piggyback has returned. Yeah.
Let's go.
Mariners have announced that the piggyback, just when you thought it was out, they pull it back in. The piggyback has returned.
Awesome.
Mariners probables versus the Blue Jays. We know Bryce Miller's going tonight, right?
Yes.
Luis Castillo will go tomorrow against the Jays. Logan Gilbert, who was supposed to have a piggyback with Emerson Hancock last Saturday in Cleveland, that will now be Saturday against the Jays. And then George Kirby will go on Sunday. Two things. I find it disgusting, and I mean disgusting, that the Blue Jays are here for 4th of July weekend. It is embarrassing. It is wrong. It's putrid. It's a shame. It's a tragedy. It never should have happened, okay? But the Mariners like making money. Baseball likes making money. And they stuck the freaking Blue Jays in our house during the 250th celebration of this country. It's gross. I don't like it. But
would they not sell out that weekend against
I think they
anybody?
I think they would have. I am more irritated, I think, actually, by the piggyback. Now, Brett Boone's going to be with us, Dick, coming up in a while, and I cannot wait to get his thoughts on this because as kind of an old-school guy, which he is, he hasn't played in 20-plus years. I know he hates this. I know a lot of older players can't stand it. I don't like it. You guys know my take on it. I think I've been pretty consistent with that. Emerson Hancock, I mean, I wonder if he's going to Logan Gilbert and just saying, dude, I'm sorry, man, it's not my call, right? Like, I want to let you run. I want to let you go.
Yep.
Have your day. Have your freedom, right? Go out there and just enjoy it on Saturday and shove it up their ass. And yet Emerson Hancock is already signed up to do who knows what. As long as they have flexibility, right, which is all we've said through this entire thing. You want to do it. You want to say that's the day that we're going to use Emerson Hancock in the bullpen. I would actually feel better about it if they would just reword it, right? Don't call it a piggyback, because the piggyback insinuates that we are predetermined
how many innings
before the game to use Emerson Hancock as a reliever for 3 or 4 innings. How about you just say this? How about you just say Logan Gilbert is starting and Emerson Hancock is in the bullpen on Saturday?
Yes.
Done. That's it.
Because Logan Gilbert...
And we'll go to him when we're ready.
Logan Gilbert can pitch 6 innings, 3-hit, 1-run baseball,
right,
throw 95 pitches,
right,
and maybe then, okay, I'm not going to extend him into the 7th. I'm going to stop him at 95 pitches, and we're going to let Hancock pitch the 7th and the 8th, and if it's a save situation, we'll take him out for Munoz. If it's not a save situation, you're up by 4, then you leave Emerson Hancock in.
Yeah.
How difficult is that?
I think it's the verbiage that's irritating me, and it's the idea that they go into this thing saying we have to pitch this guy no matter what the starter does, which is asinine. Can you imagine, and I've made this analogy before, Dick, can you imagine an NFL left tackle? Let's say the Seahawks drafted the left tackle of the future with their number 1 pick. Maybe he was taken 25th overall. Charles Cross is in the twilight of his career. right? He's in year 9 or year 10, and they draft some big stud out of, Alabama to be their next starting left tackle.
You just said James Carpenter basically right there.
Whatever. Well, they drafted him as a guard, but whatever. But that's the point. They go out and they get the next guy, and then Charles Cross is motivated. He's fired up. He's inspired. And Charles Cross is pancaking dudes in the first half, and they tell him, all right, man, second half, we're going to the kid.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
That makes no sense at all. None. So just have some stupid flexibility with this, for crying out loud. And then, the promo that we're running, and I think it's a Greg Bell promo. It might be a Chuck. Could be Ian. I'm not sure who it is.
Could be us.
It's not us. It's not us. Talking about kind of who's running things right now with this baseball team. I really do wonder, Dick, and I know that Dan Wilson has taken a lot of heat for the way he manages the bullpen, and rightfully so. I'm not saying it's unfair. He's a big boy. He can handle it. But if you went to Dan Wilson and said, look, Dan, what do you want to do with your pitching staff on Saturday? He's going to tell you if Logan Gilbert is shoving it, he stays in the game. I think that's what he would say.
That is what he would say. Now,
I don't know where this is really coming from, and nobody really does know.
Has the question been asked? Because I can't think of what the answer was. Has the question been asked of Dan, hey, what happens when your starter is rolling? Like, how much flexibility do you actually have to leave him in or not leave him in? We only saw it that one time because Bryce Miller had the no-hitter, right? It's the only time we saw it where we had the prescribed number of innings, which I believe was 4 for Bryce Miller, but then he was throwing the no-hitter, so they let him go into the 5th until he gave up the hit. I mean, have we heard an answer to that question? I don't believe we have.
Dick, it's a thing that we discuss as a group. We will assess it at the appropriate time. And really, it's an organizational decision.
So it's an answer, non-answer.
That's what it is, right? I mean, that's what you get. You get this, word salad. And I get that Dan's never been the most boisterous guy. I'm well aware of that going back to his playing days. He's never going to rock the boat. He didn't do that when he was a player, and he's not doing it right now as a manager. But I think the question needs to be asked, again, what's your plan? Like you just said, what's the plan if Logan Gilbert is pitching his nuts off? Let's say he's got, 75 pitches after 6 innings of, 2 hit ball, and he's got a shutout going with 8 Ks and a walk. Do you bring him out of the game? And who's making this call? Is there a predetermined amount of innings that Emerson Hancock needs to get on Saturday? Whose idea was this? Are you being told by the front office that you have to play certain guys? Are you being told by the front office that you have to hit certain guys in certain spots in the lineup? Are you being told by the front office that during a piggyback start like we're going to have on Saturday, that Emerson Hancock needs to get a minimum amount of innings on Saturday against Toronto? Those are the questions I want to know answers to, and I guarantee you he'll never answer them.
I do think,
but I want him asked.
I do think the answer to your last question is yes, he does have to get a minimum number of innings because I don't think they want any of these guys' durability shortened, right? They want to be able to extend them out so they can start and go 100 pitches if they need to. Now, I don't know how many starts that you would have to truncate before your arm is no longer of starting caliber.
Sure.
Right? I mean, how many is it? Is it 5 times out of the bullpen? Is it 3 times out of the bullpen where you could no longer go 100 pitches if you needed to? I don't know.
Well, Emerson Hancock's last start was last Sunday in Cleveland. He went 5 2/3, and he threw 98 pitches.
Perfect.
Okay, so he hasn't pitched since then. He'll go 6 days and appear out of the bullpen on Saturday. In what role, we don't know, but he'll presumably pitch something.
Well, he'd be the first guy out of the bullpen.
Maybe the first time they did it was Jose Ferrer. It wasn't even Castillo. Remember, it was Bryce Miller.
That right?
They went to Ferrer in the White Sox game, and then they brought in, which I was totally cool with.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
Is that the game where they left Munoz in the bullpen too long?
That's
and then
the game.
Lost the game.
They went to Ferrer, and then they went to Castillo. So that's the other thing that bothers me. Thank you for bringing that up. Is that it's not only about a required number of pitches or innings that we need to see from the second guy. It's the fact that apparently now we are going to the second guy next, no matter what.
Right.
And that's nonsense. That is absolute malarkey. How can you do that? How can you manage a baseball game and you know exactly what the situation's going to be with your starting pitcher. You know exactly who's going to be coming up in the order. You know exactly what pinch hitter or player the opposing manager is going to go to. And no matter what they do, we're going to Emerson Hancock. I don't like that. The way they did it in the White Sox game, I didn't like the not going to Munoz thing, of course.
Right.
But the way that they went to Ferrer before Castillo, that was perfect. That was great. Because all that said to me on that day, Dick, is that we're just using Luis Castillo as a reliever. And that's what I'm getting at, right? To close this conversation up, thank God. Just say Emerson Hancock for this turn in the rotation
is a reliever.
Will we pitch him? I don't know. Will we use him? We don't know. Where will we use him? We don't know. Which is exactly what you should say, because you don't know. You know why? It's frickin' Thursday, and the game is on Saturday. We're going to break. More from Jimmy's, including Fun with Audio, next on 93.3 KJR FM. Softy here again from my friends over at family-owned Burien Toyota. Al, Dean Anderson, John Chong, the GM, have done it again, man. They've taken in so many certified cars because everyone's buying new cars with a 0% financing thing going on. They got to get rid of these certified cars, man. A lot of stuff to the gills with certified Toyotas, Hondas, Subarus, Chevys, Fords, and a lot more with something for everybody and every budget. So do yourself a favor. Jump on the web and check out everything they got to offer in a low, one-owner, clean, certified vehicle. BurienToyota.com to find out more today.
It's time for Fun with Audio, brought to you by Emerald Queen Casino. Bet, watch, and win at the EQC Sportsbook. Visit EmeraldQueen.com for details. Emerald Queen Casino, always entertaining. And by Blumetry Experts, trusted and certified pros specializing in tree pruning and tree removal. Contact one of their arborists today at 206-714-9835 or Blumetry.com. Now, Fun with Audio.
All right, big thanks to our friends at the Emerald Queen Casino. Always entertaining. Looking for a place to watch the World Cup? Might I recommend the Pitchside Pub at the EQC Sportsbook. Monday's going to be a zoo down there, by the way, for the USA game, so get there early. Also, thanks to Blumetry. Dick, you recommended them, and they are incredible. Came by my house the other day, and it was actually kind of fun to watch them work.
Yeah, it is.
The
it's
guy
cool.
with a bucket flying around. He's inside the tree. He's on top of the tree. He's got his old chainsaw out there, so they do a great job, man. I would recommend them for sure for all your tree cutting or pruning needs. Check out Blumetry. All right, here we go. A little Fun with Audio / Hey, did you hear that? Hey, Dick, did you happen to hear that?
What's that, Dick?
Why don't we start, by the way, with number 5, Moger. Following the news of LeBron's departure from the Lakers, Stephen A. Smith on ESPN expressing skepticism about LA's chances of winning with a team led by 3 white guys.
Where the hell the Los Angeles Lakers think they going with a bunch of white dudes? Your 3 top players are white dudes? Really? This ain't golf. This ain't baseball. Hell, it ain't even soccer. What y'all think this is? It's basketball. In NBA history, when have you seen your 3 most prominent players on a basketball team all be white? And that takes you to the promised land. Somebody got to say it, so I'm saying it. This is basketball. I'm not complaining. I'm simply making the point. The Los Angeles Lakers, you ain't going anywhere being led by 3 white dudes in today's generation of basketball. I'm letting you know right now, it ain't happening. And Luka's a bad brother. And Austin Reeves is no scrub. And they both have earned what they have earned. And then with LeBron James or some other brothers, I get. But those 2 and Walker Kessler, you ain't scaring anybody with that. And Rob Pelinka has done made this white dude central. No wonder LeBron James walked out the door.
Okay, well, I mean, everybody's mad at him, or a lot of people are mad at him, calling him a racist. There's a double standard, which there is, by the way. I mean, I don't have any problem with it. I think it's funny as hell. I think he's exactly right about that. I was thinking about the 80s Celtics that had Larry and Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale, but they also had the Chief and Robert Parrish. So,
and Dennis Johnson.
Look, he's right. NBA teams don't win titles with white guys. They just don't. But if we can at least be honest about that and admit that black guys are better basketball players than white guys at the elite levels of basketball, I mean, if we can all just stop being so offended by everything and so unwilling to have even just the basic conversation about things that are right in front of our face, we'd all be a lot better off. Like if Stephen A. was a white guy and he went on ESPN and said, the Montreal Canadiens are trying to win a Stanley Cup with 3 black dudes? What? When does that ever happen?
They'd pull him off the set right
He'd
then and there.
He'd be fired tonight.
That's right.
If he said that. I'd be fired tonight if I said that. So, look, I have no problem with what Stephen A. Smith said. What I have a problem with is the double standard that is absolutely in existence in every conversation that we have in this country, sports, politics, entertainment, whatever. That's the problem.
Well, let's say we just substituted some of those white guys with other white guys.
Right.
And you brought in the Joker instead of Walker Kessler.
Sure.
Would he be saying the same thing?
Probably not.
No.
If
He
you
wouldn't.
had-
It's the
if you
white
had-
guys. It's
right.
not white guys.
Right.
It's those white guys.
Right, but the odds of getting a salary cap that could fit the Joker, Luka, and who's the
Austin
third?
Reeves.
Austin Reeves, right? That's not going to happen, okay? I mean, the point is that LA's scrambling here. They don't have a lot of options right now that LeBron has taken off. But, look, you can be offended by that if you want to. I'm more offended by the double standard. I'm more offended by that than I am what Stephen A. Smith said, in my opinion. So, whatever. But I mean, he's not backing down, Dick.
No.
He came out today and said, I'm not backing down at all. All right, hey, Dick, did you happen to hear that?
What's that, Dick?
Let's go to 2. I want your take on 2. Because they're in town tonight, right? Phoenix is.
Yes. Did you know, seven of the top 9 scores from the Boston team were white.
That's amazing.
7 of 9.
It was also 40 years ago.
Wow.
The game is in Phoenix tonight, correct?
Correct.
Storm Phoenix?
Yes.
Okay. Earlier this week, Phoenix Mercury star Alyssa Thomas spoke out about being suspended and the type of reaction she has received from people online after she put her hands on Caitlin Clark's throat.
Playing the game, being suspended, just the whole narrative that's being painted out there. It's unfortunate that it's come to this over basketball. A lot of us, myself included, didn't even know the play took place until after the game, and now we're being painted as thugs and there's death threats out on us. So it's really unacceptable. It is something that needs to change in this league, and I'm just really sick and tired of it.
What do you think of that?
Well, it isn't acceptable. She's totally right by that. To say that she didn't even know that it happened until after the game,
Right.
that seems a little odd. You didn't know that you had a closed fist in her throat until after the game? Is that what she's saying?
I think she's talking about she didn't know she was suspended.
Oh, suspended
Until later on.
Until
Yeah.
later. Well, the one thing that's interesting that I didn't realize until after I saw there, Coward put a bunch of clips together of players being extra physical
Right.
with Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And it was a cycle of 7 or 8 plays.
Yeah.
3 of them were Alyssa Thomas.
Wow.
So it's like,
maybe it's a personal beef.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Sure.
Well,
Well-
I don't know if it was intentionally
Sure,
that 3
sure.
of them were Alyssa Thomas,
Sure.
but 3 of them were Alyssa Thomas.
What I'm hearing her say, and I'm not saying that she's wrong at all about what she's saying. I mean, nobody should get that kind of
course.
treatment. But she is kind of playing the victim card here. Like, she's the one that put her hands on Caitlin Clark's throat. She was the one that got suspended. Let's talk about the way I'm being treated and the way I'm dealing with it. Well,
Right.
what about the way Caitlin Clark is dealing with it? So I just think, like I said to you, Dick, a couple days ago, this is kind of getting nasty. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's getting nasty from a coach-player perspective. Who's the coach of the Fever again? Stephanie, whatever her name is,
Stephanie
right?
White, yeah.
She doesn't apparently seem to have Caitlin Clark's back the way she should. At least that's the perception. Nobody likes the commissioner. I'll tell you that right now. Nobody
Stephanie's
likes
been
her.
pretty outspoken about
Nobody likes the commissioner at all. And then you got black players, white players, straight girls, lesbian girls. I mean, it's kind of getting ridiculous now. And I would just like to pull a Rodney King and just get them all into a room and just say, hey, can you guys just find a way to get along? Honestly.
Well, you
'Cause
brought
it'd
up
be great for the league, right?
You brought up the voting, right?
Oh,
and
they
it's-
voted her the 11th best guard
it's,
in the league.
It's no change than last year. Remember, last year was the exact same situation where the fans
Yeah.
were the highest on Caitlin.
Right.
Then the media was just behind the fans.
Right.
And then the players were a massive gap behind the media.
Is
as
she the
far
11th
as-
best guard in your mind?
No, she's not the
Right.
11th guard. She's not the best or the
Right.
second best, but
Right.
she's not the 11th best.
So why are they voting her 11th?
Why did they do it last year?
You tell me. I mean, clearly the players, it's kind of becoming obvious. A lot of them don't like her.
I think
Why?
I think it's the same reason that people try to push down how great LeBron is because we don't like LeBron.
Right.
If the players think that Caitlin Clark has gotten too much publicity,
Right.
and so we're going to push her down because she's gotten so much. She's good, but she's not as good as everybody thinks she is. So we'll push her down even further.
Yeah.
In the also that's the only thing that I can think of because the gap between the fan vote at 1, I
Right.
think the media vote was 2 or 3.
Right.
and the player vote of 11?
Sure.
I mean, that's an unreasonable gap.
Well, the perception, whether fair or unfair, reality or not reality. Okay, we'll just leave with this before we get to Booney. The perception is that the players in the WNBA do not like Caitlin Clark for whatever reason, whether just jealousy, something else, politics, whatever, sexual preference, anything, skin color, whatever. There's an absolute perception, and again, I don't know if it's fair or not, but it's out there that they don't like her. I mean, the media had Caitlin Clark ranked 3rd, the fans had her 2, and the players had her all the way down at number 11. They don't like her.
That's an unreasonable
That
gap
is
between 3rd
freaking
and 11.
obvious. The question is why. We'll get a break. Brett Boone joins next on 93.3 KJR FM.
from the Star Reynolds Sports Desk, your 93.3 KJR FM sports headlines.
All righty, boys and girls, here we go. Headlines on a all of a sudden rainy Thursday afternoon. How about this right here on 93.3 KJR FM, brought to you by our friends at Frost Brewed Coors Light, as cold as the Rockies.
Don't stoop there.
The piggyback has returned.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Shut up. You don't like the piggyback. Maybe you do like it. Bryce Miller will go tonight. Luis Castillo will pitch tomorrow against Toronto. And then Saturday, it has returned. Logan Gilbert, Emerson Hancock, and the piggyback on Saturday against Toronto.
That is awesome.
At T-Mobile Park tonight, Bryce Miller versus Walbert Urena against the Angels as the M's go for the sweep against the Halos.
The U.S. has advanced to the round of 16, a 2-0 win last night over Bosnia. Flo Balogun, however, given a red card. He's going to have to sit out the next game against Belgium Monday in Seattle. In just his fourth match in charge, Mario Pochettino, already the winningest coach in U.S. history with 3 World Cup wins.
Doesn't Flo kind of sound like it should be a chick's name, by the way?
Yeah, it's his nickname.
Yeah, but his name is Falloran.
Correct.
Why can't we call him Falloran or Florian, which some people are calling him Florian? I heard your guy Cowherd call him Falloran. I'm not sure if that's even how to pronounce his name, but it sounds weird to call him Flo. I think of the Progressive commercials.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Flo has been suspended for the game with Belgium. Alex Ovechkin, by the way, returning to the Capitals on a 1-year deal for his 22nd year in the National Hockey League. All right, let's get to Brett Boone joining us right now.
Coming to you live from our Elliott Avenue studios of Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM. It's time for our weekly conversation with former Mariners All-Star Brett Boone. Brought to you by Venue Kings. Visit VenueKings.com for all your ticket needs. Now with Booney, here's Softy and Dick.
All right, boys and girls, we are back on a busy Thursday afternoon right here on 93.3 KJR FM. Softy Dick with Jackson. Jackson out. Travis Moger, the Ogre, back in the studio. We are joined now by our friend, courtesy of VenueKings.com. Looking for tickets for the round of 16 match on Monday against Belgium. My friends at VenueKings.com can definitely take care of you. Be sure and use code Softy at checkout for a discount. Here he is, our friend Brett Boone. Booney, how are you, man?
I am a friend. I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're good, man. We're at Jimmy's getting ready for the Mariners and Angels, getting ready for a big game on Monday as well with the U.S. men's national team. Have you gotten World Cup fever like a lot of us have up in Seattle? What do you think, man?
I have not. You know, I got some buddies, though, down in San Diego that they fill me in. I get every score, middle of the night, Ecuador beat so-and-so. I am the farthest thing from a soccer fan. That being said, USA is doing well. I will cheer, but I'm a very, very casual fan.
Well, Brett, Seattle is just once again, shining. And you've been here a long time. You know what it's like when these Seattle fans get pumped up about something. I heard Colin Cowherd today on his show say Seattle is the #1 soccer market in America, and this is where this game should be. What is it about this area? What is it about this fan base that when big events happen, like you guys in the early 2000s, the city just catches fire?
Yeah, it's I still talk about that to this day when I'm up in Seattle. The Seahawks fan. You go to a Seahawks game when the Seahawks are winning, which has been a lot. I mean, it's a similar atmosphere to what I remember baseball wise in the early 2000s. I played in a lot of venues. New York in the postseason's tough to beat as far as electricity, but for a few seasons in the early 2000s, when Safeco, now T-Mobile, was a brand new stadium, and we had a really good group of guys. We won a lot of games. I've never seen, in my baseball career, I've never seen anything like it consistently in that city. And they're nice fans, but at the same time, they're passionate about their sports. And, there was nothing like it for my tenure in Seattle. Coming to the game, and I talk about all that. We could be playing a last-place team on a Monday night, and I'd step to that top step ready to take the field, and you get goosebumps. It's like, wow, they're rocking it again. And it's a mid-season game in May, and when they get excited about something, those fans, they're as good as anybody.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Brett Boone's with us on the radio show, and Booney, let's talk about the Mariners, man. They've won 2 in a row against the Angels. They took the series the other day. They got the opportunity for the sweep tonight after a day off yesterday because of the World Cup game in Seattle. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like, I want to see what this team does when they play like legit competition. I'm not saying the Angels aren't legit competition, but they're not exactly world beaters either. And it was good to see George Kirby get back on track the other day. But how much can you really take if you're the Mariners right now after scuffling for the previous week and a half in a series against a team like the Angels, pal?
Well, you got to take advantage of this, and they beat a good guy in Soriano. He's tough. He's that Angels. He's their top in the rotation guy. To beat him is good anytime you can. And Softy, you mentioned they're not beating these world beater teams, but look in the American League. Who are those world beater teams? There are none. I've been thinking about the schedule, and usually at this part of the season, you look at the schedule, and man, you got Toronto coming up, and you guys have them coming up after the Angels. You think Toronto, that's going to be a tough series. Toronto's been playing terribly. I mean, I think they rebounded a little bit, but I watched the Rangers go into Toronto and swept them 3 or 4 games, and they look like a completely different team than a year ago. Usually your next series after that, you're going to Miami, and you'd think, well, that's another softball series, but Miami's been playing a little bit better. So who those teams are in the American League, I don't know. The Yankees were for a while. The Yankees have just lost 7 in a row. It's as bad as they've played all year. So really, there are no world beaters, and you usually look to crush the White Sox of the world. Well, the White Sox are leading the division in the Central. So where are those teams? It seems like there's not really any terrible teams, and there's not any great teams in the American League. Everybody's just kind of equal.
Well, Booney, the Mariners usually rely on the long ball or else they don't score. Last game they had 12 singles where they rarely hit any singles. So is that, do you guys have conversations about that saying, hey, we're a little too home run happy. Let's try to get on base. Let's try to find grass, because it seemed like they had a total philosophy shift at least for one game, or is that just kind of a fluke game where they just happen to hit the grass?
No, and that's a fluke. I mean, all my years playing, you've never had a conversation when you're hitting home runs about, we hit home runs, or when you get 16 hits in a game and not one left the yard. Nobody's talking about that. It's about winning and losing games, and how you do it is really irrelevant. Everybody likes to hit the 3-run homer, absolutely. But the fact to have a philosophy as, we live and die by the long ball, to me it sounds like fiction. Like, I've never been on a team that really had that mindset. It's about going out there, getting good pitches to hit, knocking the crap out of those pitches. And if they go over the fence and you have the personnel and the skill set that hits home runs will come. If you don't, they won't. And you play a different brand of baseball. But I just think, Dick, when it comes to, you go through these ebbs and flows, and the Mariners are going to hit a series where all of a sudden in 4 games they hit 10 home runs, and you go, they're hitting the long ball again. And then a month later they might have a stretch of 3 or 4 games where they might hit 1. So I think that's just the nature of the game. It's the nature of hitting. It's the nature of 162 games. It's a long season, and the good teams are the ones that, they when they go through those tough periods, they survive.
Right.
They survive through those tough periods. I think the Seattle team's really looking forward to this break and just kind of resetting for the second half, because I still think they're the best team. I say it every week. It seems like every week they go 3-3 since I was last on the show. But I keep looking at them. I look at other games. I look at other teams. I look at other rosters, and this Seattle just flat out better. I said last week, they're one of my disappointing teams of the year because they're playing around 500, and I think they're a much better team than that. Right. That was the bad news. The good news is I've never seen this talented of a team on paper do it for an entire season. So I think Seattle, in hindsight, should have a really good second half.
Well, Brett Boone's with us, and one of those guys that we're hoping has a really good second half is Cal Raleigh. I mean, it's just still not happening, right? I mean, since he's come back off the IL, 58 PAs, 606 OPS, 1 bomb, hitting a .174, and for whatever reason, it's just still not firing. What's going on, man? Is this starting to get a little bit concerning for you with Cal Raleigh?
I think so. I think so. And I'm not calling it in for the season yet, but it gets to a point when you start to rack up, and he's hitting 164, and the punch outs are racking up. That's what I'm starting to notice. I'm checking the box scores. I'm tuning into the game whenever I can to watch Cal's at bats, and it's just he's off, and you can see it. His mind's spinning. He's coming off an unbelievable season, huge expectations. He wears a lot of this. You know, he's kind of the captain of that team down there and runs the pitching staff. But we all go through our tough years, our tough times. But to go from the MVP, a lot of people a year ago thought he was the MVP, to hitting 164 with 200 at bats. Mentally, it starts to wear on you. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you say. Nothing affects me, and I don't care what other people say. We all care what other people say, believe me. As an athlete, you know, we put that armor on, and we're the tough guy. But it gets to you after a while, and you start to question yourself. We all do. Players much better than myself, I've had conversations with, doubted themselves, and I'd look at them and say, how can you doubt yourself? You've been to the last 8 All-Star games. It's just the nature of the business. At points of the season, you just kind of look up at the ceiling after a game and go, what the heck is going on? I think Cal's at that spot right now. Too much talent to keep going like this, but I know what it's like in his head right now. Mentally, you're starting to ask yourself, am I ever going to come out of this? So, and Seattle needs him if they're going to make that serious, deep run in the postseason.
And he took accountability for it this last week, but he also kind of ripped the team a little bit. And you tell me if you think it's an issue when your captain is saying this. He said, quote, you got to play a full 9 and come to the field ready to compete for 3 hours a day, not an hour and a half. What does that mean when your captain is criticizing their team, saying they're really only playing a half a game of baseball?
Well, the impressive thing is it's really tough. It's easy when you're having an MVP season and you are kind of, you know, we call it captain, but you're kind of the leader of that team, and everybody knows it.
Right.
Usually you lead by example, and when you're going great, it's easy to stand up and say stuff like that. People straighten up and listen. When you're not playing at that high level, it seems like not as many people listen. So for me, him saying that shows me how much he's really respected in that clubhouse to be doing what he's doing right now, and then kind of subtly calling out. Maybe he's seeing things down there that we don't see. And without naming names, I think right there, he kind of said that with he wanted the effect to be, you know, the people I'm talking about,
right,
and they probably know that. So I think it's kind of a bold move. At the same time, it's something Cal's kind of earned, and it shows the level of respect I think he has in the clubhouse. Because he feels comfortable enough to say something like that and expect the guys that he's talking to, who are unnamed, to notice and to heed his advice.
Yeah, you mentioned Booney, and Brett Boone's with us, again, courtesy of our friends at VenueKings.com. Need tickets for Monday's round of 16 game against Belgium. VenueKings.com can set you up. Be sure and use code SOFTY at checkout. All right, so you mentioned the strikeouts. And by the way, in the last 14 games since he's coming off the IL, he struck out 18 times. That would put him on pace to strike out 208 times over the course of a 162-game season, which would be by far and away a career high for him. So the strikeout rate has got to stop. There's no doubt. But I'm looking at the rotation for the next week or so, and the Mariners have, I don't think, announced anything yet. What should they do? Should they continue the piggyback? Should they go back to a 6-man rotation? What do you want to do here, Booney? Because nobody seems to know what the hell's going on. What's your plan? What's your Brett Boone 5-point plan here, pal?
I'll tell you what, anything but the stupid piggyback. At this stage, because it seems like, no, it really does. Castillo's last outing went well, okay? Gilbert's been the most consistent, probably his worst outing in a while. He went 7 and gave up 4 in his last outing. Hancock was good. Kirby had a great outing going 8 innings. Wu bounced back from a tough outing. I think he went 6 1/3 last time out, pitched well. So anyone in this given rotation out of the 6, and I used the term his turn in the barrel, and that was Wu when he was getting knocked around. It was his turn in the barrel. He came out and I think pitched 7 shutout innings his next outing. All these guys, with the exception of Gilbert's been the most consistent, I think. All these guys have had their down games, their up games. We know they're all very talented guys. The piggyback to me is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous to have a game plan before the game. Okay, pitcher A is going to pitch this, and then pitcher B is going to pitch this. No, pitcher A is your pitcher today. If he's got his good stuff, any one of these guys are capable of putting up zeros. So you ride it out. And if player B was coming, well, he comes in when pitcher A is done, when he's got his 100 pitches, whenever you deem fit. But this 50 pitches, and we're going to share the piggyback. I just think it's ridiculous at this stage of the game. So if you want to keep everybody in the mix, if anybody could have a six-man rotation, it's the Seattle Mariners. I think it's a great problem to have six top-shelf guys all healthy. I think if you asked around baseball, they'd be dying for that. They've got 2 or 3 guys out of their rotation. Mariners got 6 healthy starters, and they're all all-star caliber. So if you're going to go with six-man rotation and that'll make everybody okay with it, well, then fine. Let's go with that. But this piggyback stuff, I mean, to me, and, you know, it doesn't matter if anybody cares what I say. It's ridiculous. It's something I've never seen at the major league. It's nothing I've ever seen at the major league level.
Well, I agree 1,000%. I mean, I'm with you, and you're turning me on, man, because I am right there lockstep with you, and I am so tired of it. I'm tired of the six-man, tired of the piggyback. The whole thing is making me nuts. But I want to just go back real quick before Dick jumps back in, Brett. Brett Boone with us, courtesy of Venue Kings. You mentioned Brian Wu there, who was phenomenal the other day. You know why he was phenomenal? Because he was home. He was at home, where he's been amazing so far this year for the Mariners. I mean, the guy's got a 2.1 ERA at home, 6.5 on the road. What the hell's going on? I mean, as a hitter, I'm sure you had parks that you hated to hit in, parks that you loved to hit in, but what is in Brian Wu's head that he is so awful on the road, and it looks like Nolan frickin' Ryan at home?
You know, and this is another thing, and it's year to year, and it's sometimes it's half a year to half a year. But this game is so mental, and as much as we try to stay above the fray, and as big leaguers, we have to stay above the fray. It doesn't matter. It's the same for both teams. That's what I used to say. We go into a terrible hitting ballpark. Well, they've got to hit in a terrible hitting ballpark too. The reverse for the pitchers when you used to go to Colorado back in the day. Well, they've got to pitch in the same environment. But when it starts to drag on and it gets to halfway, and now Dick and Softy are talking about it on the radio, and people are starting to cover it, and these questions are being asked, you start to think about it. You know, even if it's in your subconscious, you're just thinking, well, I really am terrible on the road. So every time you take the ball on the road, it creeps in. Am I not going to be good? Because I know at home I'm going to be good. It's such a mental game, and it's so tough. I think Wu will get past it eventually, but I think right now it has nothing to do with the road and home. It's in his head, because that's just the way the ball's fallen this year. And now it's kind of to a point where you start thinking about it. As a hitter, I used to do it. I used to do it all the time. It's like, wow, I can't hit here. I can't hit. I'd talk myself into it. I'd be hot as a firecracker going into a place that I didn't really like to hit in, and I'd talk myself into having a bad series. And quite the contrary. I'd be scuffling, you know, going through a 1 for 10, and we were going to Anaheim, and I'll tell you what, I don't care if I'm 0 for 20. I go to Anaheim for 3 days, I'm going to come out there feeling good, and it's just so mental. But we have to find a way to kind of fight through that and not. And that comes with experience. That comes with experience. Later in my career, I didn't let that affect me as much when I went into a ballpark that I necessarily didn't have a great track record in. I was able to kind of overcome that. But that came with experience, and we'll get that.
Well, Brett, another thing that Softy and Dick like to talk about is Dan Wilson's bullpen management, and how much of it is actually on Dan and just not really improving in that area, but how much also is it Dan not knowing what his bullpen's going to look like day to day, because he had a situation where he thought he was going to have a piggyback the next day, and then he ended up not having a piggyback the next day, and that could affect how you manage the bullpen the day before.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, in today's game, and each organization's different. I talked about my experience in Texas and how we worked it, but every organization's different. And I do know now more than ever, there is a game plan before the game starts. And it's usually between the pitching coach, the skipper, a bench coach maybe, where they'll get together and go, okay, if scenario A happens, we're going here. If scenario B happens, we're going here, C, et cetera, down the line. Now, some organizations are really stick to that script, and some organizations have a manager where, no, he might call an audible. You know, I think the great ones do call audibles and manage with their gut when push comes to shove. But the basic scenarios of, okay, he's going to get 80 pitches today. We're going, this is our first guy out of the pen. If we have a lead, if we're behind, this is our first. Now, those are kind of easy. The computer can make those decisions. But I think you're right, Dick. I think he's had questions of the bullpen. Are we going to piggyback? Are we not? He's had guys injured, you know, that he's used to having health. He's having some different looks out there, different guys out there in the bullpen that he hasn't seen before, and doesn't know what to really expect, putting them in low leverage situations, high leverage situations. So it's not an easy thing, but I think it's something where Dan's going to lean on his bench coach, his pitching coach, and it's going to be kind of a community decision. Not too. The basic moves are kind of made of. Unless you're just really, if Dan really has a moment where he's clear and no, this is the move I'm making. Usually it's, hey, what do you think? He'll tap his pitching coach. What do you think about this? If this scenario, they're going to pinch hit, Jones, should we go with him or him? Usually have a little discussion, come up with something, and then the decision's made. It's not one of those things, but it depends. It's organization to organization, and I'm just not privy to what goes on in that Seattle organization about how much do you actually stick to the script.
Booney, great stuff. We got to bounce. Appreciate you, and we will talk in a week, my friend. Thank you, pal.
Thanks, man.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
All right, Brett Boone with us on the radio show. A lot more to get to, including Jerry Brewer. Good day to have him on. He'll join us in the 5 o'clock hour. Coming up as we continue from Jimmy's before tonight's game 3 of 3 with the Angels right here on 93.3 KJR FM.
Now back to Softy and Dick, brought to you by Emerald Queen Casino, bringing you the best in live music, entertainment, dining, and gaming. Whether it's your favorite games, food, concerts, MMA, or professional boxing, it's all at Emerald Queen Casino. Always entertaining. For more info, visit emeraldqueen.com.
All right, we are back on a Thursday afternoon right here on 93.3 KJR FM. Jimmy's on first until 7 o'clock tonight. Jerry Brewer will join us at 5. Randall Williams, who works for Bloomberg, he's been covering the NBA expansion story. He's been covering the Seahawks ownership story. As far as the bids go, he'll join us in the 6 p.m. hour. Give us some thoughts on all of that. We got the Mariners tonight, game 3 of 3. Against the Angels. Brian Wu was magnificent in his last start. We talked about this with Booney because he was at home. And you would think the numbers eventually would bear themselves out, that he would maybe not be so dominant, Dick, at home and maybe take a big jump on the road. But right now the numbers are just like, I hate to use another golf analogy, but everybody's got their favorite course with their least favorite hole.
Yes.
And you get to that hole and you're sitting on that tee box and you're like, oh crap, here we go again. Don't top it. Don't shove it out of bounds. Don't sail it past the green. And what do? You take a double bogey. Because it's in your head.
That's right.
It's in your head, right? And I'm just wondering if Booney is right that Brian Wu, for as established as he is, he's a 26-year-old guy. He's not a kid. For as established as he is he getting some of this maybe into his brain a little bit?
I would hope that, since it hasn't been a career-long thing, right? If it was a career-long thing, then that would be an issue. It's a season-long.
Well, he wouldn't be in the majors if it was a career-long thing.
Well, right. if he was a 2 ERA at home and a 6 ERA on the road, he'd probably still be.
But if he was this bad on the road, there'd be right. I get your point, though.
I mean, how many starts does he have on the road this year? 5, 6?
No, he's got like 8 or 9. Yeah.
I'd start to worry if we get to August and it's still like this.
Right.
If we get past the trade deadline and then you got to absolutely start looking at down the stretch. Do you schedule him for just home games?
Right.
If it gets to that point, I don't think we're there yet.
He's got 9 starts on the road, got a 6.5 ERA. Last year his ERA was in the 3s, when his ERA at home was in the 2s. I mean, he's been very good at home, which is great because the majority of your starts are going to come at T-Mobile Park. Obviously, half of your starts will come in one stadium. So I'd much rather have this than the opposite, right, where he stinks at home, which would be incredible considering this place is built for pitchers, right?
Right.
But that would be a major concern. But I'm with you that I think, look, if you're going to do this whole piggyback thing and 6 starters and yakety yak and continue to play Ref Snyder against lefties when he's available, which he's not now because he's banged up, then you get to October, you get to September, and if you can avoid Brian Wu on the road in a playoff game, if this is still going on, absolutely, I would do that.
Yeah, no, I think you have to at that point. I think we're not to that point yet. I don't think we're to that point at least for another month or so.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you go through July and he's 3-0 at home and 0-3 on the road.
Right.
And you legitimately has to start talking then when you're only 2 months away from the playoffs. Okay, what do we do here? But if you then make a move, that just reinforces his belief that he sucks on the road. If the franchise says, yes, you're right, you suck on the road, we don't have confidence in you on the road, that just doubles down on his issues.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. Would you take 7 shutout?
Of course.
Would you take 5-1?
Yes.
Would you take 7-3?
Yes.
Would you take 6-2?
Yes.
Okay, so those are 5 of his road starts. I mean, about half of them he's been terrible.
Okay.
He went 5-3, 5-1. Sorry, against the Rangers. So I would not include that. There were some unearned runs in there, but really his problem, the reason why his ERA is so terrible on the road, is because of his last 3 road starts. 5-7 against Baltimore, 6-5 against the Tigers, 4-5 against Pittsburgh.
Wasn't
4
one of those
2/3 and 4 against Kansas City? Sorry, his last 4. His last 4 have been putrid.
Wasn't that Baltimore game just a defensive disaster too?
Yes.
Where he was almost out of it. Where he was almost out of an inning and should have been out of an inning, and then gave up like 5 runs after that.
And that's another thing, Dick, is that you look at these numbers and people will see the Baltimore game, 5 innings, 7 runs, all earned, but they don't see. And I'm not saying this happened in that game.
Oh, it was the Randy game.
They don't see Randy Arozarena letting a ball drop right in front of him along the left field line not having any idea if it's going foul or fair.
And not really caring.
Because those aren't counted as errors.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
right.
we see a lot of missteps and mistakes and misreads by outfielders and even by infielders that don't show up as errors, that are balls that should be recorded as outs. That doesn't show up in this guy's box score.
That was actually on my list. It was the next question I was going to ask Booney. We didn't get a chance to do that, but maybe I'll ask him next week. My next question was, how many times do you need to see that from Randy or Rosarena before you sit him down in your office and have a chat with him?
They're already doing it. Oh, I'm certain they've talked to him. But what's he supposed to do? He stinks at it, right? It's like if you pull Jimmy.
He's supposed to try.
Right, but Dick,
that's what I'm saying.
He doesn't know how. He thinks he's making a play and he's not. Have you ever played baseball full time?
No.
Okay. He thinks he's tracking a ball, but he doesn't know how to do it. That's the problem. So I don't know if he's loafing or if he really literally does not have the eyes to track a foul ball or a pop-up the way he's supposed to. But here's the point. Brandon Donovan is back today at the park, and they are working him out in left field today.
Good.
He is out there in left field because they've had enough, and I've had enough.
I've
had enough, they've had enough.
I've had enough as well. Now, I will challenge you on one thing.
Yeah.
I will agree with your statement that he does not know how to track a fly ball.
Right.
But after the ball has hit, like the last time, a few days ago, after the ball has hit into fair territory, then why isn't he running hard to get the ball?
Probably because he thinks it's going to bounce into the wall. I have no idea. I mean, there's a part of him that just doesn't know what he's doing. Now, look, I'm not discounting the idea that he's not giving 100% at all. I'm just saying that I think for him, this is harder than people think it is for him. He's got a hard time doing it. It's like the blocking thing. Like there's, again, the desire's not there. The willingness isn't there. And then you also add in the idea that he's not very good at it.
Yes.
And you got a freaking disaster,
I think that's a good. The Jimmy Graham comparison is good.
I think. But you know what, Dick? At this point, blame them. Blame them for putting him out there.
Yeah.
It's like we talked about with Ref Snyder last week when Dan Wilson goes to him and says, hey, you're starting. He's like, are you sure? Like, really?
Yeah.
Have you seen me play lately? You want to do that? So I'm not going to blame Arozarena because the Mariners have seen enough. They've seen enough from Arozarena. They saw enough from Crawford at shortstop. They're seeing a little bit now from Naylor at first base, where if they don't do anything about it, then they are accepting that either A, this is still their best option, or B, that they're going to let it roll and hope that one day it improves. And I think the Mariners very shortly, Dick, will start to do different things in left field.
Yes.
I think when Donovan comes back, you'll start to see somebody else out there. I'm not saying on a daily basis, but I think you'll see more of a presence from somebody else out there in left besides a Rosarena. As much as it pisses me off, as much as it's been driving me nuts, I will admit that they are behind the eight ball a little bit with some of this stuff. They don't have a lot of options right now. Because these guys have to stay in the lineup.
It hit me in the head with a bat when I read how Divish described Randy going after that ball, because this was not something that Divish usually does.
Right.
He said Rosarena initially moved like the ball was going to be foul, but it bounced on the line.
Right.
He then casually made his way to the corner, firing it to Cole Emerson. I was like, wow, that's as damning as I've heard Ryan Divish describe someone's effort level, I think, ever.
The perception is that he's loafing it, whether he likes it or not. And I think there's some truth on that. I think there's also a lot of truth in the idea that he's just not very good at it. My problem is I don't remember it being this bad a year ago. For Rosarena.
Or Naylor.
Nobody would ever think that Randy is a gold glove outfielder, but it just seems like his defense has regressed big time. Like big time. All right, we're going to break. Testimonials coming up. Jerry Brewer will join at 5 on 93.3 KJR FM. All right, kids, it's Softy back here again from my friends over at Duke's Seafood Restaurants, where nobody does outdoor dining this summer like my friends over at Duke's, voted best decks in Puget Sound many times over. And don't forget about half-price bottles of wine every Monday at every Duke's, and happy hour twice a day from 3 to 6 and 9 to close. Listen, Duke's is about making everything an experience. They want you coming back again and again and again. That's why they offer things like that. And again, when the weather turns great like it should, by the way, starting tomorrow, be sure and check out those decks. My favorite, the Ruston location by far. Jump on the web and let's make tonight a Duke Seafood night at dukeseafood.com.
Time now for Textimonials, brought to you by Emerald Queen Casino, bringing you the best in live music, entertainment, dining, and gaming. Emerald Queen Casino, always entertaining. For more info, visit emeraldqueen.com.
All right, we're back. Big thanks to the Emerald Queen Casino. Always entertaining. We are outside Lumen Field. We're on Monday. USA! As the kids say, it's going to be off the chain. You know how ridiculous that is for a 52-year-old white guy to say that? It's going to be off the chain, whatever the hell that means. On Monday at 5 o'clock, you'll be down here doing the show from Jimmy's, so swing by and see Dick and Jackson. I do have some bad news to report, guys, by the way. You may have seen this. Taylor Swift off the market, boys. The New York Post is reporting that Tay-Tay and Travis Kelce were married in a private ceremony ahead of their big celebration at Madison Square Garden tomorrow in New York City.
I thought they were going to do it tomorrow.
Where it's going to be hot as piss, and Mandai says everybody has to set their air conditioners to 78 degrees. Ooh. Did you see that, by the way?
No, that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, here we are, 49451, Tacoma Dodge text line. Travis the Ogre Moger back in the studio, sitting in for Jackson Feltz. What do you got?
Horrible call for red card. Remember, there wasn't even a yellow card called during the live action.
Yeah.
If you watch it in real-time speed, it looks like incidental contact. The slow-mo makes it look a lot worse.
Everything looks worse than slow-mo.
Yep.
You ever watch a crash test dummy in slow-mo versus real speed? Their face is getting jammed into their skull. Their eyeballs are squishing out their head. It looks way different.
The explosion of the airbag.
Yes, everything. Sorry. Everything looks way different in slow-mo. And, Dick, like I said earlier, I just think this is one of the reasons why a lot of people just don't give soccer due. Because of things like this. What kind of sport, people will say, is so soft where a guy steps on another player's foot inadvertently, gets kicked out of the game, and suspended for the next game? And, oh, by the way, that player's foot that he stepped on, he came back and played the rest of the match and was just fine.
Yes.
That's why people say those things. That's why.
If his ankle doesn't twist under like it did, do you think give him the red card? Like,
no,
if it doesn't.
No.
So the severity of the ankle twist is what gave him the red card.
I think what gave him the red card is the guy that looked like somebody shot him from the stands. Oh, geez, oh, God, the pain, right? I mean, you saw it.
I did, of course.
It's unbelievable, dude. These guys, the pain tolerance, the temporary, immediate pain tolerance after an injury of a soccer player looks to be nothing, like absolute nil.
We would have to ask our soccer experts, Jackson and Anders, our so-called proclaimed soccer experts.
Right. I'm glad you said proclaimed, by the way.
If the does that matter? Does how much you writhe in pain actually help upgrade the penalty of the foul?
Well, let me ask you this. How often in football do we say, like on a PI, oh, he's got to sell it. He's got to really sell it, right? He didn't sell it good enough.
Right.
We say that all the time. In basketball, we say it in basketball. He's got to sell it better. I think these guys are selling it, and the referees are buying every time.
Absolutely.
All right, Ogre, what's next?
Emerson Hancock is likely the only Mariner All-Star. Why would we ever put him in the bullpen? If anyone can screw this up, it's definitely the Mariners.
Well, Logan Gilbert was the American League Player of the Week, and they wanted to piggyback him last Saturday against the Guardians, and they
Emerson
changed their
Hancock's
mind.
not playing in the All-Star.
Probably not. He was about a month ago.
Yeah, but that was a month
not
ago.
anymore. I mean, honestly, a Rosarena's bat may get him in there, but they scrapped the idea that every team's got to have an All-Star, right? That's over?
I don't even
Is
remember.
that correct?
Did they do that?
I think it is over. Ogre, is that over, by the way? The whole one team's got to have an All-Star deal?
I don't know.
There you go. Travis Moger,
You're welcome.
Bringing something to the radio show.
Our friend at AI says yes, every Major League Baseball team is required to have at least. I don't think I remember that ever being changed.
I thought it was going away, but maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe I'm just having a
Who
senior
is the
moment.
All-Star?
Probably a Rosarena because of his bat. Maybe Julio gets added later on just because he's Julio. But there really isn't a deserving, obvious All-Star. Is there not?
It's got to be Julio. Julio's had a better year than Randy Arozarena. I understand Arozarena's OPS is higher than Julio's.
I don't think either one of them deserve it, really.
No, I mean, I
to be
think
honest
that's
with
probably
you.
fair.
If you did not have the rule that every team had to have an All-Star, would anybody on this roster really deserve to go to the All-Star game? Probably not.
I mean, Logan Gilbert's got a 3.42 ERA.
Yeah.
I mean, and he has been one of the top, 10, 12 pitchers in the American League the last 4 years.
But there's no obvious one right now.
No, but
there's
if you're
obvious one.
if you're a first place team at the All-Star game, you got it. I mean, somebody deserves to be an All-Star if you're a first place team at the All-Star
What
break,
if you're
right?
10 games under 500?
Well,
like the Rangers were in 94.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you're in first place doesn't mean you're any good, right?
That's
okay.
true. We're finding that out.
You got a 5-team division, for God's sakes. It's not hard to be the tallest midget, man.
Well, I think Logan, if Logan gives you, how many more starts do you have before the All-Star game? 2?
2, I think, yeah.
If he drops that ERA down to 3.1, 3.2, that's legit.
Well, but the problem is, again, not to be repetitive, but the point is there should be an obvious one. There should be more than one.
Well, it would be Bryce Miller if he had enough starts.
All right. Moger, what's next?
No, don't compare Caitlin Clark, a true American and a great individual, to LeBron James, the controversial piece of poop he is. Not even close, Dick.
How did I compare Caitlin to?
I don't know.
How did I compare those two? I'm trying to remember when I said that.
I don't know.
Well, they're both disliked.
I just love the fact that you played that, Travis.
They're both disliked. Just the Caitlin's not disliked by the fans. I would say, would you not say that LeBron James is liked and respected more by his fellow players than Caitlin Clark is respected and liked by her fellow players?
100%.
So there you go.
100%. That I would agree with.
So the texter is partly right if you're talking about the fans, but he's wrong if you're talking about the fellow players. LeBron is beloved compared to Caitlin Clark by many of the players.
And I think there's a lot of players in the NBA that don't like LeBron, but compared to Caitlin Clark, you're 100% correct.
He wanted to return to nature and become a tree, and now he is.
All right, we're going to break. Jerry
play
Brewer will join us. We'll see if Jerry wants to come back as a tree when his time on Earth is over. Next on 93.3 KJR FM. All right, boys and girls, it's Santi back here again from my friends over at Taco Time with some good news. The chicken Caesar salad, chicken Caesar soft taco are both back on the menu at any Taco Time restaurant. Chop romaine from right here in the Carpenito Brothers farm in the Kent Valley. Chicken, shredded Parmesan, seasoned tortilla strips with that great Caesar dressing. And oh, by the way, not just the chicken Caesar salad and the chicken Caesar soft taco. Did you know that for a limited time, Taco Time is selling Molly Moon's ice cream, the melted chocolate, and my new favorite, the churro? It's unbelievable. Jump on the web and find a Taco Time near you and take advantage, at TacoTimeandW.com. Boys and girls, it's Softy back with a question for you. Are you a member of AAA Washington? Well, your grandparents were, your parents were. If you're not, why not? If you're about to hit the road for a road trip this summer season, take the peace of mind that you get with AAA Washington with you. Lockouts, empty gas tanks, flat tires, and a lot more, including discounts at attractions, dining, and auto repair shops across the country. Generations have been AAA Washington members for the peace of mind that you get when you're on the road this summer, and it's time for you and your family to enjoy the same perks. Jump on the web and find out more about AAA Washington. AAAWA.com/join. That's AAAWA.com/join for AAA Washington.
This is Duke of Duke Seafood, letting you know that this hour of Softy and Dick on your home for the Huskies and Kraken is proudly brought to you by Duke Seafood. Why not make it a Duke's night tonight? Reserve your table today at dukeseafood.com on Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM.
Now, from the Star Reynolds Sports Desk, your 93.3 KJR FM sports headlines.
All right, we're back on a busy Thursday night right here on 93.3 KJR FM. Headlines, of course, are brought to you by our friends at Frost Brewed Coors Light, as cold as the Rockies.
Stupid idiot!
What do you say we check the World Cup football scoreboard?
No, we play football. I believe you call it soccer.
Spain with a 3-0 win over Austria today. Portugal and Croatia. Cristiano Ronaldo are underway as we speak right now. This is me stalling, by the way, to find the score because my internet just crapped out, by the way. But now I will go to my phone. I will use my handy-dandy ESPN app to check the score. I would give you the score, Dick, on the TVs here, but it's not on the TVs. No, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to see how long it takes me to find this. You tell me how annoying this is. Let's see how long I can go. The scoreboard, Portugal, Croatia, no score. All that for no score. Jeez. At the half. Switzerland, Algeria will go at 8 o'clock tonight from Vancouver.
Of those billions of people in the line for some today's Funko Pop,
yes,
how many of them do you think know who Walbert Urania is?
Well, the Mariners don't know because they've never seen him before.
That's right, and neither have any of these fans. That's who's starting for the LA Angels tonight against Bryce Miller. Mariners looking to score 5 or more runs in 4 straight games for the first time in 3 months.
I love it. Piggyback is back on Saturday. Yay. Logan Gilbert versus Emerson Hancock. Luis Castillo will go tomorrow, and George Kirby will go on Sunday against the Blue Jays.
Caitlin Clark is a starter for the All-Star game. No thanks to the players who voted her 11th, but the media and the fans both voted her in the top 3 at the guard position. So she's going to start alongside Paige Beckers. MVP Asia Wilson also headlined the starters for the All-Star game on July 25th.
You know, the players, I'll just say it, are being petty women. They're being petty women is what they're doing. Alex Ovechkin returning to the Capitals for one more year would mark his 22nd year in the National Hockey League. Let's get to Jerry Brewer joining us right now.
It's time for our weekly conversation with award-winning columnist Jerry Brewer. Brought to you by Northwest Handling Systems. From forklifts to pallet jacks, conveyors to loading dock equipment, we sell, rent, and service all your warehousing needs. Request a quote today at nwhs.com or give us a call at 425-255-0500. Now with Jerry Brewer, here's Softy and Dick.
All right, we're back at Jimmy's on First. Big thanks to our friends at Northwest Handling Systems. We got the World Cup back here on Monday at 5 o'clock. USA! Against Belgium, we got the Mariners against the Angels tonight. Which game do you think is bigger, Dick? The World Cup on Monday or the Ems game tonight?
Yeah, I'd take a loss today to get a win on Monday.
Pick
I would
one.
Say that.
Well, Jerry Brewer's covering it all from The Athletic, and he joins us right now on the radio show. Jerry, how are you, man?
Man, I feel great. I just got off a delayed flight. It's kind of like I got out of jail, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what? At least you got off. If you never got off, that'd be a problem, right? So thank God you got off. But why don't we start with what we saw last night? USA 2-0 over Bosnia. Balogun gets the red card. Everyone's freaking out about it. Terrible call. Never should have happened. How could people stand for this? And I'm one of them, man. I mean, I told Dick on the air, Jerry, for people that don't like soccer and criticize soccer, this is fuel for their fire. How can things like that be allowed to happen in this sport, man? Can you imagine a guy in the NFL stepping on some dude's foot, getting kicked out of the game and then suspended for the next game. Jerry, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, it's crazy, Softy, that a game's so loose that we don't even know when the game is going to end. It's so rigid about a misstep. And I mean, I think about it in terms of basketball and normal fouls and flagrant foul twos and all of this. It seems like there has to be something to account for the fact that, like, yeah, you stomped on the guy, you hurt him, but it was an awkward football movement, not something that you did intentionally. You know, they're treating him like he just intentionally stepped on the dude. And I think it's ridiculous. And let's be honest. I mean, it could wind up costing the U.S. a trip to the quarterfinals. I don't know, especially against a team that's pretty old and unathletic but very accomplished, like Belgium. If it's just going to like decide the game, but I mean, we've seen like offensively, they're a different team with Ballo out there versus when he's not. And yeah, like I hope it doesn't cost them a trip to LA for the quarters against, I guess, what's going to be Spain. Like Spain looks pretty unstoppable now.
You just described our show, by the way. Yeah. Old and unathletic.
Yeah.
But a little bit accomplished.
That describes like the way the kids see me, except not accomplished.
Oh, man, you're plenty accomplished. More than we are, that's for sure. Jerry Brewer joins us.
No, my
brought
kids
to by
don't
North.
think I do anything.
Oh, well, you don't show them, your articles or anything, or how many followers you got on Twitter, all that stuff?
They don't care about that. They think I don't do anything except travel when it's inconvenient for them.
Yeah, you do travel a lot, no question about it. And, Jerry, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Brett Boone because he played here, and you have covered big sporting events here, and you've covered big sporting events in other cities. I heard Colin Cowherd today say Seattle is the best soccer city in America, and that we have a half a point advantage just playing at Seattle Stadium for this game on Monday. What is it about this city where when the big events happen, man, it just we seem to blow everybody else away, and I don't even think that's a provincial mindset because you got guys like Cowherd saying it.
Yeah, I think what it is that Seattle as sports fans, one of the things that those of us who are really passionate about sports get frustrated with Seattle is that we have a lot of non-sports fans and a lot of like true generalists who just, it takes a lot to get them fired up. But what that does when you have a community full of a base of people who are sports fans but aren't always passionate, like when that moment arrives, like they like almost like go past the fever pitch that we're already at as engaged sports fans. And I think that creates a different kind of energy. Also, I keep thinking about how young America is versus the rest of the world. But then I think about how young Seattle still is as a sports city with all of the accessories compared to the rest of the country. And so we haven't seen as much as, say, Boston or L.A. or Chicago or New York. But in these moments, that's an advantage because no one is going to act privileged. Like, we know it's a big deal. We can still think back to, like, if you had to put together a top five that combined local and national, we can put that list together off the top of our heads, and most of us have lived through the entirety of that.
Right.
And so I think those fresh eyes create a kind of energy and a passion that the old heads who think they've seen it all can't generate.
Well, it also helps that we're talking about an event that's literally never been here before and happens every 4 years, right? So it is a bit of a novelty for sure, but they're shining amongst other cities, outshining other cities as well. But Jerry Brewer with us. Jerry, why do WNBA players hate Caitlin Clark's guts? You see this, the All-Star thing that came out today? Fans ranked her third among guards. Media had her third, and the players had her 11th in the WNBA. And it appears that they just don't like her very much. Do you buy that? And if so, why?
Well, did you listen to what Gino Auriemma had to say in an interview about Caitlin Clark that got everybody fired up?
Tell me.
That Caitlin talks. He basically said Caitlin talks a lot of trash.
Okay.
And she's not physically strong enough or athletic enough to stay out of trouble. Like, that's ultimately what he said. All right. Like, she's a great player, but she talks a lot of trash, and she's not, say, like Candace Parker, who talked a lot of trash, but had a certain kind of athleticism, had a certain kind of quickness, had a certain kind of size to where people just weren't going to knock her over. I think it kind of comes to that. There's a jealousy. There's no doubt about it. But for the people who followed women's basketball and the WNBA for a long time, it's always been a petty league, and it's always been a league where they're going to make young players earn their stripes. They've never seen a force quite like Caitlin from the standpoint of just the new fans that she's brought in, and that just makes everything a complete mess where no one has any perspective whatsoever. I saw a moment in a game, and I can't remember the circumstances, but Olivia Miles and Paige Beckers got into it, got to talking trash, and it was over like a foul that involved some other player. And I think Paige Beckers was defending her player against Olivia Miles. And I thought to myself, like, if that was Olivia Miles and Caitlin Clark, like, just how out of control the conversation would have been. But because it was Paige, who is, to me, I think Paige is a better basketball player than Caitlin is. Like, I don't think that she's a better talent necessarily, but, like, in terms of feel for the game and in terms of somebody that you could actually build something around that's sustainable and maximize everyone else on the team and not just soak up all the oxygen, I do think Paige is a better player than Caitlin is. Not a better prodigy, a better player. And I thought about that, and I was like, as popular as Paige Beckers is, she's allowed to get in the fights so they don't turn into culture wars. And so it's just like, it's degrees of sadness and just pitiful behavior in every aspect, right? The players are at fault here. Caitlin and her attitude sometimes are at fault. The entire fandom, which could be split into diehard fans and just Caitlin Clark fans, are at fault. And then the culture war vultures are especially at fault because they make this thing out to be something more than what it is. It's definitely a racial thing with a lot of coded language in there, and that's sad.
Well, Jerry, I would just say to Gino Auriemma, I agree with that, but I would also say then why doesn't Marina Mabry get hammered by other players? Because she's less athletic than Caitlin Clark, and she talks more smack than Caitlin Clark does, and she's an all-star player. She doesn't get the same treatment that Caitlin does.
Yeah, but Dick, she's not one of the faces of the league. Like, she's a really
she's
good
an all-star,
player.
But she's not as relevant as Clark is.
I would also say, though, Dick, like, you go into any locker room and you ask a lot of them how you feel about Mabry, they say, she talked too much trash. I don't like her, right? But hey, you know what, guys, like, that's sports, right? Like, a lot of people did not like Richard Sherman. A lot of people, when Josh Naylor came to the Mariners, everybody was just like, his attitude, like, he's a red, like, and that rubs people the wrong way. That's sports. Like, it's conflict. Like, you're going to have rivalries, and you're going to have people that you just don't like on that field of play. But the difference is that in most cases, we just accept that that's just part of playing the game. In this case, you've got, like, 1/4 of the country saying, like, isn't this the greatest thing you've ever seen? And if it's not the greatest thing that you've ever seen, I hate you. And then you got the other ones like, man, I've lived a long life in sports. Like, why are you trying to push this down my throat? Like, yeah, she cool and all, but, like, Asia Wilson's pretty dope too. Like, everybody's pretty dope. Like, get out of my face with this. And here we go, back and forth and back and forth.
Well, I would just say this. First of all, that is the longest stretch of time that we've spent on this radio station talking WNBA in a long damn time.
I think we need to do it more, Jerry.
And it's probably because of this controversy. And I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of ready to move on, to be honest with you. But I just wonder, Jerry, quickly, is this good for the league? Because this is all we talk about, right? I mean, any pub's good pub. Like, is that what this is all about?
Well, I mean, I think one day that it'll ultimately die down, and then we'll look back and say that was a strange moment. But it's going to take Caitlin really like stepping on top of her stardom and understanding like the way that the world sees her, and she needs to decide to take control of it instead of letting it control her. And then I think the other thing, guys, is she is not gonna own basketball from the standpoint of redefine it. She's just a really good player in a machine that's seen a lot of really good players, and she may rise to the level of, let's say, a Maya Moore or a Diana Taurasi or a Sue Bird or a Cheryl Swoops or any of the others that we've seen before who are in the Hall of Fame or on their way there. But she's not going to wind up being twice as good as these players. And, like, that was, for the people who didn't watch the sport, that's what they want her to be. You know, like, they want her to be Larry Bird meets Michael Jordan meets Magic Johnson meets LeBron James. And basketball is never the same again. It's not going to be that way. And eventually people are going to have to accept that. And a lot of people are going to walk away. But hopefully a lot of people come back and they say, you know what? We knew how good she was. And, like, in the context of the league, she's just another really good player. Maybe I ought to pay attention to the other 10 players that the WNBA has ranked ahead of her.
Well, let's move on from that, because I want to ask you about Stephen A. Smith, your buddy on ESPN.
Oh, boy.
Can't believe the Lakers are trying to win with 3 white guys, and he's getting killed. Not by me, but there's a lot of people that are pissed at him. Are you one of them?
I thought it was silly because, like, Stephen has no nuance, no subtlety. He thinks he's funny, but he's not funny. And he made that argument in a way that wasn't lighthearted. And that's where I think he got in a lot of trouble. And it seems like he's just making, I mean, I hate to use the word like reverse racism or whatever, but, like, that's how a lot of people are going to look at it. And I do see the validity in them saying, like, well, just because, you're black, you can't talk about white players this way. And I would agree, like, but I also, like, I've got a nuanced take on all of this, right, from the standpoint of I do think that there is a place for racial pride in sports, just like there is a place for national pride and patriotism and all that, like we're experiencing at the World Cup. There's a place for gender pride. There's something really powerful about seeing someone who's not like the others, who represents you, and understanding that you have a place in that sport too. And like that's where, like, I don't think Steven understood the whole context of all of that. Like, and I don't think he understood the context of, right, like, on one hand, you can't be, say, proud of the U.S. men's national team because half of the team, 13 players, are black. You know, not all African-American, but are black. And most of the starters are black. You can't be proud of that, but then go and say, like, look at all these damn white boys on the Lakers. Right? Like, I mean, it was a ridiculous argument, right? The way that he made it. And I do think there's a way to kind of say it, but it's kind of like us, right? Like, we've known each other for a long time, and the three of us were getting a beer, and we were talking about something, and it kind of delved into kind of a racial territory. We would know how to step with each other and say something, and it can be lighthearted, and it, like, just sort of focuses on the difference, but it actually celebrates that we are different, and we can have a funny conversation about being different, and it actually draws us closer to each other instead of driving a wedge. And that's the part that Steven didn't get.
Well, Jerry, you got a nuanced take on that. I want to hear your nuanced take on a person that a lot of people don't have nuanced takes on, and that would be LeBron James. And you were just down in L.A., and I'm hearing from Petros through Softy that everybody hates LeBron James in L.A. Is that the case?
Oh, I mean, Lakers fans are crazy, right? And he was there for 8 years, and It was one championship that concluded that he won in a bubble, which might as well have been in. I mean, they might have won that in Pluto, not in Disney. Like, we have no idea where they played the bubble because we were in the throes of the pandemic. And the other 7 years is just mediocrity or a substandard team play that LeBron was the face of. And you could say, well, the Lakers franchise is, as a front office and such, as an ownership, they're as bad as and disorganized as they've been since long before Kareem and Magic. So you could put some blame on them, but you also have to look at it and say, like, hey, like, LeBron, you're the king of the NBA, and you kind of came here and you just kind of did it for your own fame and to get your media company started and to just enjoy life and learn how to play golf and all of this, and you didn't get enough accomplished in L.A. And you're also, like, you came to L.A. old, and as great as he is when he plays, he's missed so much time. Like, that's the conversation we don't like to have about LeBron, is that, like, he performs like a 41-year-old LeBron James. Now, a 41-year-old LeBron James is still one of the best 20 players in the NBA, but these people who think that he's a GOAT who hasn't slipped that much, they're ridiculous. So, yeah, I think there's this feeling in L.A. that they didn't get as much out of the deal as they thought they were going to get. And there's this feeling definitely among Bron and his fans that L.A. should have embraced him more. And I'm just like, dude, if you think that L.A. should have embraced you more, look at your overall record in L.A. versus your overall record in 2 stints in Cleveland and Miami. Look at your level of performance, like how many games you were available, your stats, like all of that versus your performance in 2 stints in Cleveland and Miami. And you tell me that you aren't a diminished player.
Yeah, he was a lot younger.
He was younger, but hey, and then, hey, Dick, you go. I mean, I was going to say Staples Center, Crypto.com Arena. That really rolls off the tongue. You go there and you see all the statues, right? Like, you see all those statues, and it's like, hey, man, were you a better Laker than Kobe? No. Were you a better Laker than Magic? No. Were you a better Laker than Kareem? No. Did you do more for the franchise than Pat Riley? No. On and on and on. Were you a better Laker than Shaq? No.
Jerry West.
And so yeah, Jerry West, of course, like, who on like 2 different levels, like, influenced that franchise. You look at it that way, and if you're LeBron, you have to say, you know what? I may have a claim to the greatest player of all time,
right?
But I'm not even close to being the greatest Laker of all time. And the fact that they just didn't bow down and kiss my feet every single day, I have to live with that.
Jerry Brewer, we bow down and kiss your feet every week, even behind your back when you're not around. Trust me. That's how much we appreciate you. We'll talk in a week, man. Enjoy the 4th, all right?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Same to you.
All right. Jerry Brewer with us on the show. We got a lot to get to. Things are getting kind of chaotic down here at Jimmy's. The unruly have come out at the bar.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy here.
Getting crazy.
These Angel fans, these Mariner fans, you put them 2 together in a room. Look out, man.
There's a lot of shots going on around here.
This might be the pregame for Belgium and U.S. on Monday, already happening here at Jimmy's on First on 93.3 KJR FM.
Now back to Softy and Dick, brought to you by Emerald Queen Casino, bringing you the best in live music, entertainment, dining, and gaming. Whether it's your favorite games, food, concerts, MMA, or professional boxing, it's all at Emerald Queen Casino. Always entertaining. For more info, visit emeraldqueen.com.
I've been kind of hesitant to bring this up on the air.
Uh-oh.
That's got nothing to do with me, trust me.
Okay.
I have a problem.
I thought you were going to put that girl on the air.
No.
But she just walked out, thank God.
Oh, yeah, that was, I
Boy,
think I just got a contact high after her breath, by the way.
Oh, my God.
That was amazing.
There is no way. Now she's on her boyfriend's shoulders. Oh, there she is. See you later. Okay,
yeah.
bye.
Travis,
Travis.
Yeah, come back.
I guarantee you, when they show a passed out girl in the broadcast today in like the fourth inning, that'll be her. She's wearing the green Julio Rodriguez jersey.
I'm sending you a picture right now.
Oh,
of this gal,
my God.
And you'll see what Dick and I have been dealing with for the last maybe hour or so.
Literally did not stop talking for an hour and a half.
I think what's the device that measures people's blood alcohol level? What's that thing called? The breathalyzer or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so high that it just said tilt.
You just
all right. I mean, it can't measure it. It's so high. But I send you a picture, Travis. So anyway, what I've been hesitant to bring up on the air is this Matt Miller story. Have you been following this at all, Dick, the Matt Miller story?
Just a little.
Yeah. Travis, do you know who
he's an ESPN guy that got hurt.
Yeah, you know who Matt Miller is, by the way, Travis, at all? Okay. Guy, you don't know anything. Time I ask you know? No, I have no idea. No. I mean, it is smart of you, by the way.
That's good. I'm glad he doesn't, because
okay.
that means he has other things going on in his life.
Plausible deniability. Don't even get involved. And then nobody can expect anything out of you, right?
That's my MO, yeah.
Completely just shut yourself off from society. Well, Matt Miller is an ESPN draft analyst. A couple weeks ago, I think it was, he was in a car accident. And to make it a short story, he lost his arm. They had to cut his arm off because of the car accident. So he comes out and he launches a GoFundMe to pay for his procedure.
Okay.
And it got to like $30,000, $40,000, whatever. So that's two things going on. Number one, people have been critical of him for asking for money to help pay for his prosthetic arm or whatever procedure he's going to go through. You know, a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, you work for ESPN, you're a fairly big name. Don't you have insurance, for God's sakes? Like, what are you asking us for money for? That's number one. And then number two, now that this has happened and people have been critical of his GoFundMe page, a lot of other people on social media have used that as a tool, Dick, to come out and apparently remind people that Matt Miller runs multiple fantasy football leagues, apparently, I think, through ESPN.com or another business, like big leagues, and has not been paying people their winnings. So now the Missouri Attorney General has opened up an investigation of this guy. Imagine being in a car accident where you lose your arm, and your prize is that an Attorney General starts to investigate you.
Well, it sounds like
it's unbelievable.
I mean, if he doesn't open up the GoFundMe account, then he's he's clear.
That is probably correct. That he was taking so much guff, which I love that word. He was taking so much heat from people that it made him out to be kind of a villain. And so people's like, well, let me really tell you about the guy, blah blah blah.
Right.
And so they started reporting all this stuff. And I felt, is it? Let me ask you this. Is it weird for a guy who gets into a car accident like that, if it's somebody who doesn't have any insurance or doesn't make a lot of money, whatever, that's a different story, right?
Yes.
Is it weird that an ESPN personality is on social media after a car accident asking people for money to help pay for his procedure?
Very much so. He is gainfully employed at a huge company who I'm sure has some sort of insurance. Yeah, you're still going to have to pay deductibles and that sort of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we see it on the news all the time. You know, kid gets hit by a car. They interview his parents. You can tell that the parents are maybe not very well off, and the TV news show says, GoFundMe account here, and you're like, cool.
Don't have great insurance.
Help the family out. They don't have great insurance. This is not that type of situation.
All of us have donated money to strangers if our hearts get tugged in the right direction, right? I mean, I gave money to David Sampson's daughter. You guys heard about that?
Yeah,
she
that's
died,
nice.
Brain cancer, and they're going to start a big fund for research and all that stuff. It was an expressed reason why they did it. This isn't for me. Trust me, David's got plenty of money. This is for a research
want to help the research
or
grant, yeah.
a charitable whatever. We're going to start something in her name. So I jumped on board. $100, whatever.
Very cool.
But the point is that it's just it blows my mind that this poor bastard gets into this car wreck, loses his freaking arm, and then he wakes up a week later. He's getting investigated by an attorney general. I mean, if you're doing bad stuff, if you're ripping people off, eventually, the more you put your name in the spotlight, people will find you.
Yeah, I don't think he obviously didn't put two and two together, right? He probably thought this fantasy thing was no big deal.
Right.
Right? Right. And so he puts the GoFundMe out and realizes this fantasy thing is exactly what he didn't think it was, which is a big deal. And it's probably,
right.
These are multiple leagues for multiple years, some as much as $500 per league that he's not putting in.
Correct.
Ben
Koo and Brandon Clean of Awful Announcing have spoken to, quote, at least 7 people who said they paid entry fees for charity fantasy leagues this guy ran with buy-ins as high as $500, only to find him unreachable when it came time to collect the winnings or confirm the charitable portion of the money.
You know what the charitable portion was?
His wallet.
It was the Miller. It was the Miller charity.
Right. Where the money had gone. So yeah. All right. Well, 5:39. We'll do it next segment. The Softy and Dick Hardball Cockamamie pregame show. Set the lineups for Game 3 of 3 against the Angels. Hear from the skipper Dan Wilson, and then Randall Williams is with Bloomberg. He's been covering the Seahawks ownership story, the sale. He's been covering the NBA expansion to Seattle and Vegas. We're going to get Randall on around 6:10 tonight, 6:05, right here on 93.3 KJR FM. Hi, boys and girls. It's Softy back here again. Hi, how are you? For my friends over at AAA Washington, if you're like me and my wife, you'll be hitting the road for a summer road trip this summer. Do you have AAA Washington and the peace of mind that comes along with it in your corner? Well, if the answer is no, then why not? Your parents were members. Your grandparents were members of AAA Washington. Relatives all have that peace of mind that if you have a empty gas tank, lockout, blown tire, they'll be there to take care of it for you no matter where you are in Washington and northern Idaho. And here's the best part about it, too. It's not just about the peace of mind on the road. It's about discounts at attractions, dining, auto repair shops all over the PNW that you get as well. Jump on the web and find out more. Your parents were members. It's time now for you to be a member, too, at AAA Washington. Find out more at AAAWA.com/join. That's AAAWA.com/join today.
to Softy and Dick's Hardball pregame show, presented by PEMCO, the insurance you get. Learn more at PEMCO.com on Sports Radio 93.3 KJR FM.
Hey, a big thanks to Travis Moger, the Ogre, for filling in for Jackson Feltz today, who's back on Monday. Not bad so far, Dick.
Not bad.
Out of the Ogre.
I think the Ogre's done fabulously this week.
Yeah, a couple of blurps, couple of bleeps.
I think the best thing he did.
Bumps.
I think the best thing he did was 26 seconds in his goal call.
That was yesterday.
That was the best.
I'd say this: it's not a disaster, but it has room for improvement.
Wow.
I want you to clean a couple things up. Keep trying, pal.
Okay.
All right, you keep shooting for the moon.
Yeah.
Hey, shoot for the moon, accept the stars, or is it vice versa? Shoot for the stars and take the moon, right? That's
right. That's what
PEMCO helps make insurance less challenging. Get a quote today at PEMCO.com or call 800-GO-PEMCO. PEMCO, the insurance you get. PEMCO Mutual Insurance Company, Seattle, Washington. All right, M's going for a sweep tonight against the Angels. JP, Julio, Dom, Canzone, DH hitting third. Randy Arozarena, despite him being terrible in left field, is in left field tonight hitting cleanup.
Yeah.
Josh Naylor at first. Cal Raleigh behind the plate. He's got to get it going, man. Luke Raley in right tonight. That's great. Cole Young at second base with Colt Emerson, at shortstop tonight. Bryce Miller on the mound. Here's Dan Wilson before tonight's Game 3 against the Angels.
Game 3, a very strange off day yesterday in the middle of the series, but Game 3 today, a chance to sweep the series. I think the first couple nights, especially yesterday or the day before offensively, putting together a lot of singles, a lot of hits, create traffic, getting them in. Hopefully, that's what continues tonight. Bryce on the hill has thrown the ball, extremely well and has just been very consistent for us since coming off and looking forward to another good night from him. Tonight with Rails and Dom getting a couple days to rest, back in the lineup, which is great to have everybody back and for the most part, ready to go and kind of feels like you have a little bit more of a complete lineup when you get after it today. So, excited about that. Looking ahead for Toronto, the Rock will go tomorrow. I will have the piggyback on Saturday with Logan and then Emerson, and then George Kirby will throw on Sunday before we head out of town. So, lots of good baseball, lots of big baseball this weekend ahead of us, and tonight would obviously the focus is to sweep the series and continue to play consistent baseball.
Any particular reason why you went away from the piggyback last week and going back to it this week?
Just a chance to give a couple guys a couple extra days, an extra day here or there, and the way we had it set up, it provided a little flexibility there, so we were able to do that, but we will go back to it in this series against Toronto.
When you guys first went to the piggyback, kind of made sense with it being Luis and Bryce. With Bryce coming back healthy and Luis kind of going through his struggles. Is there any, I guess, matchup standpoint why you like Logan and Emerson together, or is it strictly from the way you guys plotted out the rotation?
Yeah, that's the way we kind of planned it out, and as we talked about, everyone sharing the load a little bit, and it was going to be those two before, and it will be those two again, so I think that's more of where it stands rather than a strategical thing. It's just a matter of trying to keep everybody stretched out as best we can, and we felt like those are the next two guys up.
We have another one on the road trip. Or are you done with it?
Likely. Again, hard to know how it's all going to play out, but likely have another one as we go forward. Yeah, I think he continues to make his adjustments, and I think Seitz and Mags and Gar, obviously putting in the time with him, and I think the confidence is coming. Certainly getting a big base hit for us the other night was big, and that helps with the confidence, and that can go a long way as well. So, just has to continue to find it, and I think he's getting closer and closer as he puts more work in these few days at home, especially.
And with Luke, does he have less volume when he's building, like on his daily preparation because of the forearm, trying to be careful with it, or where are you guys at with it? How much do you have to monitor it?
Yeah, I think it's something obviously that we have to monitor. I think these guys, they love to put the work in. They love to be prepared for each game, and sometimes you have to step them back a little bit and make sure that they're doing what's smart for them, at least in terms of their health. From my understanding, he's going to be wearing a brace, or a special kind of a sleeve that will help. So, he's been able to get used to that over the last couple of days. So, I think he's ready to go. And as we've talked about with Luke before, just his desire to be in there, desire to play hard. He's a hard one to keep out.
Now with Mooney, you got him some work right before the day off. Have you guys kind of looked at it as maybe he needs to throw a little bit more regularly, just because to keep him, he does throw off the mound in between or like pregame, but like getting him kind of regular work and not letting him go 4 or 5 days without an appearance. I mean, is that something?
Yeah, I think consistency, for anybody is important. I think, but I think with Mooney and what we've seen from him, especially lately, just continuing to keep him sharp and find as best we can. And if that means getting him in a little bit more, I think that's what we will do. And the fastball has been outstanding, and to see him come out there and do what he did on Tuesday was impressive and great to see that. But yeah, I think it's really about continuing to keep the consistency going as best we can with it.
All right, there you go. Dan Wilson from the media before tonight's game. And, Dick, you're right about what you said earlier. If Bryce Miller had the requisite amount of starts, he would be right there.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a lock for the All-Star game, if not to start the All-Star game.
Well, you think back, he was the best pitcher in the playoffs, too. So let's think all the way back to last September. Bryce Miller has been your number one starter when he's been available.
The Balls of Steel game, Game 1 in Toronto, man. That was
we were at the Emerald Queen Casino. Just watching with amazement as Bryce Miller just mowed down that lineup in that dome.
How the F did they not make the World Series last year, man?
Dan
2
Wilson.
games to none.
Dan
2 games
Wilson.
to none. That's why?
Well,
you blaming him?
That was one of the reasons.
Is he the biggest reason?
Yeah, I would say him or Bizzardo, right?
We're going to break. God, I'm just depressed now. I was in a fairly good mood until like 30 seconds ago.
Who else do
and
we
it's
blame?
my fault for bringing it up. We're going to break. Randall Williams, who covers the NBA expansion beat, and he's also covering the Seahawks sale story. He's going to join us next with some intel coming up on 93.3 KJR FM.
From the Star Reynolds Sports Desk, your 93.3 KJR FM Sports Headlines.
Boys and girls, here we go. Headlines on a Thursday night live from Jimmy's on First right here on 93.3 KJR FM. Brought to you by our friends at Frost Brewed Coors Lights. As cold as the Rockies. USA! Get a big 2-0 win over Bosnia last night. However, Florian, how do you say his last name again?
Balogun.
Thank you. You know what? I got to tell you, I can't read my own writing. I wrote Bazogin. Florian Balogun with a red card. He's out for the game against Belgium on Monday, and they're out of 16. That sucks. Spain with a 3-0 win over Austria today. And how about this? Portugal getting a goal in the 94th minute of stoppage time, and they lead Croatia 2-1 late in that match in Toronto. We got Switzerland and Austria coming up at 8 o'clock tonight.
Props to Malik Tillman. I don't think we brought up his name once in the show today.
Yeah, had a good
Props
game.
to Malik Tillman.
Great game.
That was a freaking unbelievable free kick. The game was watched by 24.4 million fans. That is the audience ever for an English-language soccer match in the United States.
Alex Ovechkin is returning to the Capitals on a one-year deal that would mark his 22nd year in the National Hockey League.
Terrion Arnold's lawyer confirms that his client has been contacted by 3 teams, and he expects to join a team this month as he fights multiple felony charges.
You know what the NFL should say, Dick? They should say, no, nobody's signing him until this is figured out. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Seriously? White Sox lead the Guardians 5-3 in the 7th inning, and Cleveland Braves up on the Cardinals also 5-3, top 7 Atlanta. Tampa Bay all over Kansas City, 5-1, bottom 5 from Kauffman Stadium. And Rangers, who are tied with the Mariners right now in the West, lead the Tigers 3-0, bottom 3 Mariners tonight. Game 3 of 3 against the Angels. Bryce Miller against Walbert Urena coming up tonight. The M's are tied for first. They go for the sweep against the Angels tonight.
Tonight, Storm and the Mercury. Your friend, my friend, Alyssa Thomas, back on the floor against the Storm tonight. You can watch the game at 7 o'clock with me and Alyssa on the call.
All right, here's what we got. Everybody is off tomorrow for the 3rd of July. You guys enjoy it. Don't blow your fingers off on Saturday for the 4th. See you back here on Monday before the USA and Belgium coming up at 5 o'clock, which we're going to carry that game, right? Monday.
Correct.
Right here on 93.3 KJR FM. Joining us right now, Randall Williams from Bloomberg, who's been covering the Seahawk ownership story, NBA expansion story. And Randall, first of all, great to have you on the air. And second of all, give us a timeline on this NBA thing. When should Sonic fans really find out if they're getting their team back, you think?